The last topic on our module here on our online training is going to be audio. And in order to showcase this, I have imported two audio tracks and I've already put it on my timeline. And as you can see, the waveform is already rendered and audio would already play back theoretically. Unfortunately, you don't hear it in the screen grab because as Pixera is already occupying the audio out more or less, the record software cannot record the audio in, unfortunately. So let's talk about modifications you can do on audio. It's quite simple. It's basically the same you would also be able to do in video. There's time and duration, which is exactly the same as in video. You can also use lock to time, free play once, as well as free loop, which do exactly the same as on video. You can also loop it, of course. You can set a small loop here, for example, and I can also up the speed, which will pitch the audio. So that's something you should definitely keep in mind. Let's go back to lock to time. And additionally, of course, you can also add your transport keys. So I can in here also set up a pause, for example, and then have the audio pause at this cue or at this keyframe, let's rather say. Now, how do you access or how do you send audio out of Pixera? You can find the audio channel settings in your layer settings, and in here you can find the audio base channel. If you're playing out mono, audio base channel 1 is simply used. If you're running a stereo file, it will automatically utilize audio base channel 1 and 2. So both of them are going to be used. If you then want to add another file, use assign audio channel base channel 3. So let's assume I add another file and I want to play this out as well. So in this case, I would go in here and then assign 3 for my next two mono channels, as 3 and 4 will be used, and then 5 and 6, 7 and 8, and so on. Now, what's different for audio is the value you can change in here. The opacity for videos is the actual level of audio. So if I would do something like this, it would be the audio level animation. And what's still the same, that's something we haven't discussed yet, is this eye here will deactivate the layer. That's also something that counts for videos. If I would have a video here on top, and if I activate and deactivate this eye here, the layer will be deactivated. And besides this, you can find the duplicate layer option. Now, in order to get audio out of your system, you want to go to your settings. And in here you can find the audio driver assignment, the device, as well as sample rates. As you can see, I have turned down channel 1 and 2, as during this demo I hear audio playback all the time, and I don't want it to be all too loud to disturb the recording. And in here you can already see the channel assignment. I have this assigned to my RME Fireface, which allows 18 outputs, and you can set the maximum channel count to 256 outputs if you ever have a project with really lots of audio playback needed. Besides Wasabi, you can also choose from AVIO. So as you can see, all the AVIO devices in here, WDM, all the WDM devices in here. It's even possible to stream audio to my Bluetooth noise cancelling headphones. So these are my Sony headphones, for example. So you can see in here you find all your available Windows devices. And last but not least, Wasabi. And in here I've got the high definition RME5 phase and Realtek. I really like to Wasabi because it's also really low latency and I don't have to fiddle around with the ASIO tool. It just really does a good job. Below that, you will find your sample rate. So in here, standard sample rate configuration. Again, the audio engine of Pixera is capable of resampling, so you can basically throw in mixed sample rates if you want to, without actually influencing the audio playback. And also audio, video, and timecode always run 100% sync because they're all separated and they have separate clocks which micro pitch together to keep 100% sync all the time. The last topic we're now going to discuss is multi-timeline use in Pixera. And the way to access the timelines is right here beside your resources in the compositing tab. And once you select the timeline, you can find some information on the timeline and some settings in the inspector on the right. First, of course, you can assign a name. So let's do that right now. Let's call this background. Then you can, of course, assign an FPS. Duration, 2 hours is the standard duration when you create a new timeline. The max input, you can of course also patch the timeline. If you want to do fixture control, that's what you can do in here. You can patch everything in order to be controlled via DMX and ArtNet, of course. And there's also SMPTE right here. We offer special USB to XLR interfaces, which you can use in order to send out and receive time codes. If you're interested in that, please contact our support or sales guys. They will be able to provide some information on that. It's really easy. All you have to do is just connect it via USB. It's set up automatically and you can immediately send out or receive timecode. In terms of API, as we have already seen in our queues part, you can send out network commands over the timeline, and in order to do so, you have to assign an API output port in here. Now, if you want to add another timeline, all you have to do is go here to timelines and press plus, which will add a second timeline for you. Please always keep in mind that the number of timelines is determined by the license you're using. The player license is restricted to two timelines. If you want to use more than 2 timelines on your player license, you have to combine it with a director or a server license, and then you're free to go. All of the AV Stumful hardware servers always utilize a full server license, so you're never restricted. Now let's start and put some content on here. Let's just put the video on here and let's have it running, and let's go to our second timeline and let's also put some content on here. Now, as you can see, I don't see the content right away. That's because the layering or the layer rule on our timelines is also the same as the layer rule in our layers down here inside the timeline. So if I now switch this over to the top, as you can see, my layer stacks change and my second timeline will be visible. So now let's go back again to our second timeline. Let's call it front. And let's imagine we have a picture-in-picture, for example, which we want to start here. One thing to also keep in mind is in Pixera, the play, pause, and stop again work like a tape, or like you know it from a tape recorder. So play is play, pause is pause, and stop goes back to 0. Now, if you have content on 000, as you can see, you will see it. So I would suggest in cases like this, let's start with this at frame 2 to not actually see it when we're at 0, 0, 0. We will still draw resources from this because the system will start to pre-render it. The pre-rendering is defined on your layers. It's by default 5 seconds. So if you want to not be in the preload time, you would want to push it back a little bit further. Now let's create a small fade. 1 second fades. And what we're now going to do is we're now going to try and trigger our front timeline from our main timeline. That's also something you can do by utilizing queues. So I will create 2 pause queues and I will rename them. Let's call it 1 and 2. And before we do the triggering, let's take a look at our timeline tab here again. As you can see, in this field, you will always see the name of the next queue. And in here, you get similar controls to the controls you have here. And we also have jump to next queue in here and also toggle next queue state. So what you can do is you can also deactivate the next queue, as you can see. And this is available for all timelines, for as many timelines as you create. Now let's set this clip to free run. And on this queue, I will now add a trigger timeline function. So I go in here, trigger timeline, and I can now choose a timeline in the drop down here. I will choose timeline number 2. And I will do a play mode. So I want it to start playing. I could also trigger it with a pause. And as of trigger time, I will apply 1 frame. Our content starts at 2 frames, so I don't start directly in the video. I start 1 frame before, and then we will continue with the fade. So let's play it back. As you can see now here on the top, we can see timeline is playing back and the video comes in with a fade. And now as I press stop in here, it will go back to 0 and I won't see content because again, I've programmed it in a way that the video starts at frame number 2 and the first 2 frames are black frames for me to have a little bit more space and for me to go back to 0 if I want to.